Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily News Quiz Analysis for IAS Prelims 2025. It is 1st April today, and in this video we are going to solve some important questions which could be very much relevant for you for your preparation. But before we are going to discuss these questions, I would like to give you the brief introduction about this initiative so that if you are new to our channel you will get more connected with us. Basically in this video we are going to discuss three types of questions, if I will be very much precise here, and from these questions would be taken from three different sources. So depending on it, the first set of questions which we are going to discuss here would be taken from the current affairs. So what we are going to do here, we will take up the most important article from the newspapers. We are going to discuss them. We will discuss that article. We will break that article into the simplest language possible, and we will try to derive the possible prelims question from that particular article, so that it will give you the idea which part of the newspaper is important for you, what should be your approach when you are reading these news articles, and how you can expect a possible prelims question from those particular articles. This is what we are going to do in the first phase of our discussion. After solving questions with respect to current affairs, we will shift our approach to the another part. Here we will discuss questions from the static portion, as currently we are discussing Indian polity, and in Indian polity we are discussing the Parliament of India, and recently we completed all the discussion with respect to Raj Sabha. So from today we are going to discuss the Lok Sabha. So today we will discuss few concepts related to Lok Sabha and try to derive the possible prelims question related to those concepts, so that it will give you the exact idea how exactly a question can be asked in the exam, and you will be prepared well before the exam. After solving questions with respect to current affairs and the static part, we will shift our approach to the last part of our discussion. Here we will discuss questions from the previous year question papers. So what is the importance of this part? Here we will learn what is the vocabulary used by UPSC for framing your papers, what are the different trends they try to follow for framing the questions, and at the same time we will try to understand what are the different types of questions which we can solve if we don't have the proper knowledge of that particular question. We can still solve that question by using the elimination methods. We'll try to understand these things also, and at the same time we'll try to understand how we can implement this knowledge which we are going to get from this initiative, from this video, in the upcoming exam. So this is in a nutshell what we are going to do in this video. Now before we will start our discussion, I would like to request you guys, please do subscribe the channel, do share it with your friends, and please do write in the comments what else should we bring for you guys. With this, let's have a look at the first question which we had brought here. As here on the screen you would have seen till now that the question is basically about the impact of artificial intelligence on the job market. Mostly it is assumed that the artificial intelligence will definitely is going to be best for the country, is going to be best for the world, but it will have worse impact on the job market. It will have worse impact on the people. It will impact the livelihood of the people, and also at the same time it is it is believed that the artificial intelligence will transform the world, and it is right now transforming the world to the next level. So with respect to this, there was discussion in the news article today. Basically the discussion did not specifically talked about the artificial intelligence and its impact. It actually talked about the how what has been the focus of the government on the labor market, what the Indian government has done with respect to that, and what are the various challenges with respect to the labor market in India, how, and finally it added how artificial intelligence can impact the labor market, labor security in our country. So with this, before going to that context, we will first try to solve the answer. We will establish the answer of this question, then we will discuss the context part, and that would be the final discussion of this question. So let's solve the question first. The question says, consider the following statements regarding the potential impact of artificial intelligence on the job market. First statement: AI, artificial intelligence, is primarily expected to result in widespread job displacement across all sectors with minimal creation of new employment opportunities. This is very extreme statement, and it is usually believed that it will lead to this, but it is not exactly what it will do. Even though there would be job losses, but at the same time it will create new jobs, but the skill set would required for those jobs would be very high. So that is actually the discussion of today's news article, to be more precise. So first statement with respect to this question is totally incorrect. So let's apply the elimination method here now. The first from the options given below, the first option we can eliminate easily, and we can eliminate option C easily. So you know why we are doing this, why I try to follow this method of solving the questions, because I want you to develop this habit. I want you to develop this habit, that you should use it in the exam, so that it will consume less amount of your time on the on particular questions. That is the exact reason. So now we are left with what options? We are left with option B and option D. Now have a look at these options. What is common between them? In option B we have 2 and 3. In option C we also have 2 and 3. So these two options are very much common in these particular options. So what is preferable for us to have a look at? The preferable option which we need to look at in the exam is option 4. So let's have a look at the option 4 now. Directly by solving the option 4 we will solve the question. So let's see what does the option 4 say. The impact of AI will affect only the developed nations and will have very little effect on developing nations like India. This is totally incorrect. It is a very extreme statement, and here I would like to mention that whenever in the questions you find these extreme statements with these extreme options only, very little like these options, most of the times such statements are incorrect. 90% of the times such statements are incorrect. So we can eliminate option 4 is incorrect. We can easily eliminate now option 3D also. What we are left with? We are left with option B, and that is the correct answer. So this is how you solve questions in the exam. Look, we just, if you were in the exam and this question was asked, you would have just read two statements of the question and you would have established the answer. Now here, as our aim is to understand the question as well as the methods, so let's try to understand other statements too. Let us try to find out what is the these two statements talk about. Second statement, the impact of AI on empowerment is likely to be uneven. Sorry, on employment is likely to be uneven, with a higher degree of disruption in sectors involving routine and repetitive tasks. 100% correct. Nothing wrong with the statement. Third statement, the integration of AI necessitates a significant emphasis on reskilling and upskilling initiatives to mitigate potential negative effects on the workforce. 100% correct. That is exactly what article talked about, and also what we discussed when we were solving the first statement. So with respect to this question, we understood that the correct answer would be option B, statement C with 2 and statement 3, and the correct option is option B. Now with this, let's try to understand why we discussed this question. Now we will shift to the another part, which is the context of the question, why we discussed this question. Basically there was an article in the newspaper which talked about whole labor at the center. We discussed about labor at the center. In this, there are few facts which we need to know. First of all, we should know that what is the working age, what is the working age population in India, how many people were added in the working age population, what were the jobs created in these particular years. If we will see from 2017 to 18, the number of working age population, it analyzes the data given by the government agencies. It says from the 2017 to 18, the number of working age people which were added are approximately 9 crore people were added as the working age population. What is the working age in India? It is from 15 to 59. So under this population, how many people were added? 9 crore people. And what is the job creation in this period? How many jobs had been created by the government? The jobs created by the government is only 6 crore. So definitely there are 3 crore people for whom there are no jobs right now in our country. So what is the issue with this data? The issue is definitely the jobs and the working age population does not go in line. There are very less jobs as compared to the people who are in the working age population, and for them there is no job. This is the first thing which we get from this. Then secondly, the author here highlights other few aspects of this data. The author highlights, even though we had created 6 crore jobs, what are these jobs? Are they formal? The author says they are not. Most of these jobs which were created, they were not formal. They are they are not formal jobs, they are not organized jobs. So this is the first issue. They are informal jobs created. Second issue is, what is the second issue with respect to that? The second issue is these jobs were created, but they are, most of them are self employment. For example, somebody is working in agriculture field, somebody is installing the tea stall or something like that. So these jobs which were created, 6 crore jobs which were created, they are what kind of jobs they are? Either they are self employment or they are informal jobs. So definitely there is issue with these jobs. What is the issue? The payment which they get is very less. There is less payment they get for that. There is less wages for their job, and security, there is no security with respect to that. And also at the same time, the author here highlights the issue which we discussed through this question. It is the time right now when every country is going for AI. Every country is investing in AI, and India is also investing in AI heavily. The companies are investing in machineries, they are investing in AI. And the skill set, the which the people need, they don't have the skill set. When the people, the market, when the labor market don't have the skill set, what will companies do? They will definitely go for alternatives. And what is the alternative? For example, I'm doing here, I'm working for some company, and what my task is that I have to record all the data in MS Excel. So if I don't have the skills, if people don't have the skills, what will the companies do? They will go for the machineries, they will go for the AI, which will replace my job. So it will suddenly increase the job burden in our country. So this is what the author here highlights, that there is definitely need for this issue to be sorted out. There is need for the upskilling. There is the need for the, the companies. There is definitely need for the more job creation for the people. There is need for the upskilling. And also with respect to this, then the author here highlight that what government of India has done so far. The author highlighted that the government of India has brought in two major schemes. One was PLI, was introduced by the government of India. Under this PLI, it gives incentives to the 14 sectors. In these 14 sectors, if we will see what were the major sectors in which the most money was given in. The first one, if we will see, it is electronics. In the electronics, almost 20,000 crore were given. And the another and the another sector which was highlighted by the author was the food and processing, which also comes under the PLI. Under this, only 11,000 crore was given as the incentives. But if we will see the irony of this statement, if we will see which among these two was the company, was the sector which created more jobs, it is food and processing sector. It created more jobs. So here the author highlights that the government should have spent the money they spend in electronics, they should have spent that much money in the food and processing, so that the jobs they are creating are much more than the jobs the electronic sector is creating. Because for that you need high skilling. That upskilling is not right now what our labor force has. So definitely there are various issues which are interconnected. For why electronics did not create those so much jobs? Because people are not that skilled. For the electronics you need very high skills, and which we don't have. So that's why the food and processing, where the cheap labor is required, where you require least skills, that's why it has created much jobs. So here the author has highlighted that the government should have spent more on the food, and for the incentives under the PLI they should have spent more on food and processing. So this is the issue with the PLI also. So these were few things, few important points which were mentioned in the article. So I hope you had understood the article, also you had understood the context of the question as well as the question here. So here I would like to add one more thing. We are doing this from now, from months now, and if you would have followed me, you would have understood one thing. This initiative, it is not all about the quiz. It is not all about the quiz. It is about news analysis also. It is about the questions from the important articles. We discuss the news analysis, and we discuss the questions which can be framed from those particular articles, which in a way becomes very much unique for your preparation. It becomes very much important for your preparation. If you would have followed me from last 6 or 7 months we are doing it now. I guess from last 8 to 9 months we are doing this now. If you would have followed me, till now you would had got at every day we are discussing 10, almost every day. We used to discuss earlier 10 to 15 questions. Now we are discussing on average almost 10 questions every day. So you would have got so many questions from the current affairs part only, and you would have been much confident for your prelims preparation with respect to current affairs. And at the same time, we don't only discuss the current affairs here, we also discuss the static part. So we discussed that, we had discussed various questions with respect to that also. And at the same time, we give the previous year question analysis. So this initiative becomes very much unique, and I don't think this kind of initiative is that much readily available on the YouTube. So I would like to request you guys, please do subscribe the channel, do share it, and do be the part. Let us be the part of your journey. So please do connect with us. So with this, let's move to the another slide and see what question we had brought there. Well, here the question is with respect to the Arctic Council. So why it is in news? Because there is issues going on, there is conflicts going on in the Arctic. There are tensions going on in the Arctic within the members of this Arctic Council. So here we need to know what are the members of the Arctic Council. It is mostly the NATO countries. US is there. US is there. US is there. Sweden is there. Norway is there. US, Sweden, Norway, US, Sweden, Norway, Iceland, Finland, Iceland, Finland, Canada, Denmark, and Russia. Canada, Denmark, and Russia. These are the countries who are members of the Arctic Council. These are 8 countries who are members of the Arctic Council. Right now, there are tensions going on because there is a saying in our mother tongue that if I would have said it in my mother tongue, it would have made much sense. But I will try to translate it in English. There is a story, a kind of a saying that there was a poor person, and it was winter. When that poor person, he just had a wooden house, and unfortunately his house got the fire and it burned. So his neighbors, what they did not went to help him, but as it was winter, they went there to take the heat, they went there to take the fuel. So that is the same situation. If we will see, it is happening with the Arctic Council right now, Arctic Circle, Arctic, right now in the Arctic. We are seeing present time, it is the time when the global warming is at its peak, when greenhouse emissions are at its peak, global warming is happening, the melting of ice, melting of oceans is happening. Every disaster related to global warming, we are seeing the results of that, and so is happening in the Arctic also. In the Arctic, these ice, the ice in the northern region, it had started melting, and now these countries which are nearer to Arctic, they had kept their eyes. They are now, they had become much greedy now, because they believe that once this ice would melt, they will have the they will have the seas available for their research. They will have the seas available for the extraction of minerals, which we believe that Arctic region is very much rich in. So that is what they are doing right now. So that every country in the Arctic Council are claiming the Arctic now. Every country is claiming that that particular part belongs to them. And at the same time, if this ice melts, it will make traveling much easier for the countries. Like Russia, it will make traveling much easier for them. For China, it will make traveling much easier for them. And China is also trying to claim the Arctic because they believe that it comes under the exclusive zone, which is given by the UN clause. The exclusive zone, it comes under their exclusive zone. So they believe that they also have the say in the Arctic. So that's why there are tensions going on it. So here we need to know what is Arctic Council, who are the members. We discussed that. Is China the member? No, China is not the member. Is India the member? India is not the member. There are 8 countries which we discussed, which we highlighted here. Now with this, let's solve the question and get to know about it. First statement: the Arctic Council is a legally binding treaty organization focused on military security. No, totally incorrect. Second statement, the Ottawa Declaration of 1996 established the Arctic Council as a high-level intergovernmental forum, 100% correct. Third statement, India holds the position of permanent member in the Arctic Council, totally incorrect. Fourth statement, the Arctic Council primarily addresses issues related to sustainable development and environmental protection in the Arctic, 100% correct. So with respect to this correct question, the correct statements are statement 2 and statement 4 only, and from the code given below, the correct code would be option B. With this, I hope you had understood the question as well as the context of the question. Now with this, let's move to the another slide and see what question we had brought there. Well, here the question is with respect to the Recognition of Forests Act 2006. Under this, before we go to the context of the question, let's solve the question first. Let's understand what it is all about. Then we will see why we had brought this question here. The question says, consider the following statements regarding the scheduled tribes and traditional forest dwellers recognition of Forests Rights Act 2006. First statement, the Act recognizes and vests forest rights and occupation in scheduled tribes and other traditional forest dwellers who have been residing in such forests for generations, 100% correct. First statement is correct. And what is the issue here? Now let's discuss the issue here. In 2016, they through this act, it recognized these tribal people, scheduled tribes, and other traditional forest dwellers that they will have the right to use this forest. They will have the right to dwell in these forests. But for that, they have to submit the documentation that they have to prove that they belong to there for generations. But under this, there came the issue that many dwellers who had lived there from the generations, they were not able to submit the documents. They were not they because of some glitches, they were not able to prove their domicile, we can say, their domicile of these particular forests. So with this, the petitioners, few people, they went to the Supreme Court and they asked the Supreme Court that they should give the orders that these people should be taken away from these forests, and the Supreme Court gave the order. But finally they came in, and the government in a way government came in. It tried to interfere in this issue, and government tried to interfere in it, and its government said that there is definitely there are various concerns because different techniques were used by different states with respect to that, and those people who were living in there, how they were rejected. There are doubts related to that, and they went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is taking the case again. It is hearing the case again with respect to this. This is the whole story of this question, why we had brought this question here. Now Supreme Court will hear this situation about those people who were asked to leave the forests, and now after that, let's see what will happen. Supreme Court will decide. But here we need to know about the Forest Rights Act 2006, that we will understand through this question. First statement is correct as we established the statement. Second statement, the act grants individual rights and does not recognize community rights, forest rights. No, it basically recognizes the community forest rights. So second statement is incorrect. So when second statement is incorrect, we can eliminate option B, we can eliminate option C and option D. We are left with option A only. That is the correct answer to this question, which we established. But still, let's have a look at this third statement. Third statement says the act mandates the consent of Gram Sabhas for diversion of forest land for non-forest purposes, 100% correct. Fourth statement, the act allows for the eviction of forest dwellers for the purpose of wildlife conservation. No, they can't be evicted for this purpose. So fourth statement is incorrect. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1 and statement 3 only. With this, let's move to the another slide and see what question we had brought. Well, here the question is with respect to stubble burning, as it has always been the issue because it creates a lot of pollution, especially in the Delhi region. So with respect to this, the governments had brought in the proposal that this how they can reduce the stubble burning. What they had proposed, that they had proposed various things in this. First, they had proposed going for the crop diversification. They will go for the crop diversification. They will diversify from the paddy to maize. First, why not we promote diversification from paddy to maize. How it will impact? First, when there would be less paddy cultivated, so it will definitely lead to less stubble. And this maize, when there this maize can be used for the ethanol production also. But at the same time, there are concerns who will procure this maize. For that, the government has to come in. They have to guarantee the farmers. This is the first proposal which was given in. Then the second proposal was, the second proposal which was provided by the states are, why not diversify this, why not divert this stubble to the industries which they can use, why not divert this stubble for the industrial use. This stubble can be diverted for the industrial use, for example, for the fodder formation for the animals. So this is also the one of the proposal given. And also the third proposal which was discussed about, why not go for the direct seed rice, direct seed rice, why not promote direct seed rice instead of going for transplantation. Promote direct seed rice instead of transplantation. So here you need to understand what this transplantation is. For example, if you are from the villages and you have the farmlands and you want to go for the cultivation of paddy, what you will do first, you will sow your seeds in a particular land where where small plants would grow out of these seeds, and then you will take these small plants out and you will again sow these plants into another land. So you will sow these plants into the another land, and you will have the particular way in that. So if instead of going for, this is called transplantation. So what the governments here recommend, that instead of going for this transplantation, we should go for the direct seeding. That why, for example, we have to sow the we have to sow the paddy in this particular land. Why not we directly sow seeds in here and cultivate paddy in here only, and this will definitely lead to the this will lead to the less stubble formation. So these are few important points which were highlighted by the different which are proposed by the governments right now, and that's why we had brought this question about stubble burning, how it is harmful, what are the various pollutants which it contributes to the environment. So let's solve the question now and get to know more about it. The question says, consider the following statements regarding stubble burning. First statement, stubble burning primarily contributes to an increase in particulate matter 2.5 and PM 2.5 and PM 10 levels in the atmosphere, leading to severe air pollution. 100% correct. Second statement, the practice is solely limited to rice cultivation in the Indo-Gangetic plain, even though it is mostly found in Indo-Gangetic plain, but it is not limited to rice cultivation only. So this statement is incorrect. Third statement, in situ management techniques such as the use of bioconsumers are effective alternatives to the stubble burning. 100% correct. That is true. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is statement 1 and statement 3. So here I would like to add one more thing here, as as it was highlighted in the article, that why should we go for the direct seeding than the transplantation. One reason also is that you will have lesser time for the cultivation. You will have more time when this seed, when this paddy will be cultivated, it will be cultivated in the lesser time, because there would be least wastage of time in it, first sowing in this particular land, then shifting it to another land. So it will be cultivated in the least time, and for the next cropping season there would be more time available. So the farmers will not be under pressure to burn the stubble. So these were the things which were highlighted by the author here. So with this, let's move to the another slide and see what question we had brought there. Well, as you can see here on the screen, the question is about the goods and service tax e-invoicing. Let's know what it is. Let's understand about it. Question says, consider the following statements regarding goods and service tax e-invoicing. First statement, GST e-invoicing is mandatory for all business registered under the GST regime, regardless of their annual turnover. No, this is totally incorrect, because it is not registered for every business under the GST regime. There is definitely the criteria about the annual turnover, and it is now 10 crore. The annual turnover should be 10 crore. and more than 10 crore, then they have to go for the GST invoicing. So first statement is incorrect. Let's move to the second statement. It says the primary objective of the GST e-invoicing is to reduce tax evasion and improve compliance by real-time reporting of invoices to the government portal. 100% correct. Third statement, GST e-invoicing simplifies the process of input tax credit reconciliation for business. 100% correct. Fourth statement, e-invoicing applies to all business to consumer transactions. No, it is mostly for the business to business transactions. So this statement is incorrect. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 2 and statement 3. With this, we had completed our our discussion with respect to current affairs. Now let's move to the another part where we will solve a question from the static portion. As I told you recently, we completed all the concepts related to Raj Sabha. Now let's move to today. From today, we are going to discuss Lok Sabha. So let's see. Let's have a basic introduction about the Lok Sabha through this question. Question says, consider the following statements regarding the composition of the Lok Sabha. First statement, the maximum strength of the Lok Sabha as prescribed by the Constitution of India is 550 members. Is it so? Is the maximum strength of the Lok Sabha prescribed by the Constitution 550 members? What do you think? Is it correct? This is 100% correct. The maximum strength of the Lok Sabha as prescribed by the Constitution of India is 550. Earlier it used to be 552 when two Anglo-Indians were nominated by the president, but this was taken off through the 104th Constitutional Amendment Act. So first statement becomes correct. Second statement, all members of the Lok Sabha are directly elected by the people of India. 100% correct. Now all the members are directly elected by the people of India, because about Anglo-Indians it has been removed. So second statement is true. Third statement, the President of India can nominate two members from the Anglo-Indian community if they are not adequately represented. Totally incorrect. It has been removed now. Fourth statement, the allocation of seats in the Lok Sabha to the states is based on the population of each state as per the latest census. 100% correct. So with respect to this question, the correct statement are statement 1, statement 2 and statement 4, and from the code given below, the correct code is option C. So here I would like to ask you, if you are reading, which I assume you are with me, you are listening to me. If you are with me, I would like to ask you a question. So here, which year census is the latest census with respect to the number of Lok Sabha, number of Lok Sabha seats? With respect to the fourth statement, the allocation of seats in the Lok Sabha to the state is based on the population of each state as per the latest census. Which census we use for this statement? I hope you understood my question. For the fourth statement, which census we are using right now, we have discussed it in different way in our earlier classes. So I hope how much you had understood. What is your IQ? If you can answer this question, I would be very much happy. So with this, let's move to the another last part of our discussion where we will solve a previous year question. Well, here the question was asked. This question was asked in 2010. So let's see what is the question in the world geography. The question says, which one of the following can come across if one travels through the Strait of Malacca? Definitely Singapore, without any further discussion. These are very conceptual questions, very factual questions. So you need to know about the Strait of Malacca here. You need to know Malacca. What are the places Malacca Strait is in between? You need to know all about that. So Malacca Strait is between the Indonesian island of Sumatra and the Malaya Peninsula. So Singapore lies on the tip of the Malaya Peninsula. So definitely Singapore would be the correct answer. With this, we had completed our discussion. I hope you would have liked the video. I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you very much and have a nice day.